Welcome to Atlanta Sports Unlimited. It's Saturday and time for another edition of Jocks and Pigskins. I'm your host, Tom Pollen, with Wanda Weidman.
Hello.
And new father in the house, Chris Smitherman. Behind the controls as producer, and always great to hear.
Congrats, Chris.
It's a congrats, yes.
Yeah.
I have a full show for you this week. Because, Wanda actually brought this up, but it kind of spurred me to think that we've been having a quarterback drought over the last decade, about last 10 years. And it's been rough as far as new quarterbacks coming into the league,
Right.
Not replacing the quarterbacks that we had that were top and elite. But maybe we're starting to break that quarterback drought this season. So Wanda and I are going to talk about that. And then Wanda will give you her picks for Sunday's action. And Nostradamus has some best bets for you. I went 4-0 with my best bets last week.
Awesome.
Killing it. So I'm 7-1 over the last 2 weeks with best bets. So
it's great.
Give it a listen.
Yeah.
So if you want to do right, give it a listen. So getting into it, rookie quarterbacks taking the NFL by storm. And it seems like taking the NFL by storm in a way that they haven't in quite a few years. I did some research, and around the 2015 season, we had like Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan, Peyton and Eli Manning, Tom Brady, Matt Stafford, Ben Roethlisberger, Aaron Rodgers in his prime, and Russell Wilson.
Right.
6 Hall of Fame caliber quarterbacks, 6 quarterbacks who are going to go into Canton, 4 who are borderline. Plus, we had Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, Ryan Tannehill, and Carson Palmer. So every week, you had at least one, and most weeks 2 or 3 games where you're going to have quarterbacks really dealing against each other. And we haven't had that in a long time, and I was looking at it. But from 2015, 2023, there have been 29 quarterbacks taken in the first round of 92 quarterbacks drafted. And we've got 1 first ballot Hall of Famer out of that group, Patrick Mahomes. Goff and Prescott, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow have been above average. Whether or not they will make their Hall of Fame case is still to be determined.
Right, determined, yeah.
Stroud is doing well, but the jury, is still out. This is just his second season.
Correct, yeah.
And Baker Mayfield broke out last year, Sam Darnold this season, and both are first overall, second overall draft picks, but that was in 2018.
Right.
So taking them a while to break out.
Yeah.
So we really haven't had a lot of primetime quarterbacks, a lot of elite quarterbacks coming into the league. And it's definitely, to me, it's been a quarterback drought. And I think it's amazing the NFL has been as successful over the years, last 10 years as it has, considering the quarterback play that we've been getting. So
yeah, that's kind of amazing because just the list of what you had here, and when you think of all the quarterbacks that are not in this caliber that you've mentioned, that have come through that were just barely there. They may have done well in college at some point, but once they got into the NFL, whether it's the team that drafted them and how they built around them, which I think is extremely telling on the success of the quarterback, because if we look at Sam Darnold, if we look at Baker Mayfield, they had to get to the right system to actually be successful.
Yeah.
But it took them several teams to get there,
Yes.
that they can get to that point. But it is amazing. So many have been taken, and so few have come out to be successful as quarterbacks under center.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at 2015, we had Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota.
Yeah.
Winston is a backup quarterback now, a good backup quarterback, but a backup quarterback.
Yeah. And so is Mariota still.
Yeah. So, yeah, but he's not a good backup quarterback.
But he's still there. But he's still a quarterback, backup, yeah.
Yeah. In 2017, you had Trubisky who busted, and Watson, whose career is just completely tailspin.
Oh.
You had the big quarterback class of 2021, where you had Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and Mac Jones. None of them have distinguished themselves.
No.
And you can be a Justin Fields defender all you want. He's still a borderline quarterback. I mean, he hasn't really blossomed as an NFL signal caller.
Yeah.
So in 2023, he had 3 quarterbacks in the first round. Young is basically crashed in Carolina. He's going to have to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud, who is developing, and Anthony Richardson, who I don't think is going to make it. Somebody who gets hurt a lot, and he has not learned how to put touch on his throws, and still has a lot of the mechanics of the quarterback position to figure out. So, but this year, we had Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix, Bo Nix, and
Drake May. And Drake May.
And Drake May, yeah. I'm sorry. And Drake May. So, and, Williams, Daniels, and May, the first 3 overall picks. But we're actually seeing them acclimating to the NFL and putting their mark on it, putting their success, stamping some success on this NFL. And it leads me to believe that we are finally breaking this quarterback drought. And we've got a current crop of quarterbacks. Of course, the jury's out on J.J. McCarthy.
Right.
And the jury's out on Michael Penix, but Penix isn't going to play unless there's an injury.
Right.
Because, and I haven't heard anybody calling for Penix to start lately.
No, as long as Cousins is playing the way he's playing, there's no reason to.
Yeah, I mean, you got Cousins with quarterbacking the Falcons to first in the NFC South.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
which is what we predicted anyways.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we predicted. Took a while to get other fans to come along to that opinion, but
right.
Sometimes it happens.
Yeah.
It's just no, I'm not even going to be serious about it. But Caleb Williams has gone 3 straight games over 100 passer rating, 687 passer yards, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception in his last 3 games. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's thrown some interception-worthy balls, a couple, but he's driving that Bears offense.
Yes. He's starting to see the field. He's making his reads. His progressions are on spot, and he's just now really finding his tempo on that offense, and they are now building that chemistry where he's hitting his players in stride, which is great. The last game in London, to watch how he was getting the ball to Kmet, to DJ Moore, to Keenan Allen, to Roma Dunze. He was spreading the ball. He was getting it out there that was beautiful to see. That's exactly what you want to see in your young QB.
Yeah, it took him a few games to figure out his
Right.
targets and where they were going to be on the field.
Yeah.
And it took Shane Waldron as offensive coordinator a couple of games to get used to his personnel.
Exactly.
Right? These are the
Yeah.
weapons I have, and this was what I can do with them.
Right.
And I saw a lot of people in that London game on X, or Twitter, as I still call it.
Yeah.
Kind of like in Chicago. It's always going to be the Sears Tower. I don't care who buys it.
Right.
I don't care that Sears is out of business. Still the Sears Tower.
Right.
Well,
exactly.
I've seen a lot of comments on Twitter about DJ Moore not being as involved in the offense last week. And I'm like, everybody else is.
Yeah.
Yeah. DJ Moore's not going to get the ball every game, but that's a good thing.
Right. But they were also covering him because he's the number one wide receiver. So they're going to cover him more. So, of course.
So guess what? Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, and Cole Kmet.
Sure.
And Williams identified that.
Right.
And that's been a key to his growth. And then you have Jaden Daniels, who has been pretty outstanding as far as his breakthrough in the NFL. He has the Commanders on top of the NFC East.
Yeah.
Which an NFC East that appears to be very winnable to me. But his weakness, as they said, coming out of college, slender frame will lead to durability concerns. Could be. I'm looking up on NFL.com. By the way, Marcel Smith has one comment. Fantasy owners have been waiting for DJ. Yeah. Yeah.
I know. I got him on there. I got him on my roster. Yeah.
I get it. Believe me. But it benefits the Bears that they have 4 receivers that DJ Moore, that Caleb Williams can go to. And Moore will get his touches. He's going to get his touches, especially when defenses have to kind of spread out a little bit more to cover some of these throwing lanes.
Right.
So don't worry, Marcel. I think DJ is still going to be worthwhile.
Yeah.
On your
He'll
fantasy
get his
team.
touches. Yeah.
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 The thing with DJ Moore this year that we didn't see last year is Justin Fields was targeting, he had laser vision on DJ Moore. And Moore, broke his own career record as far as receptions and yardage but Fields really wasn't giving anybody else good targets, good throws. He was all on Moore, and he wasn't hitting Moore with anticipation. I think Williams is learning how to hit receivers with anticipation, and which is something I don't think Fields ever learned.
Right. And
he's
throwing them in very tight windows. So being able to make them catchable over the shoulder, the back shoulder throws that he's trying to get to tight windows, so it gives him a play. So DJ, in a fantasy standpoint, he's going to get some targets. He may not get as many. He's not going to be your 20 points in a game, but he'll get you maybe 12 in a game just to be able to get it. When you're playing Bears wide receivers in fantasy, you may want to do both. If you can pick up both, and you play both. But in this instance, you can't depend on the one like we used to, because they have to spread the ball.
And I would say, Marcel, if you get a chance to get Rome Odunze, he's developing into an NFL caliber wide receiver.
Yeah.
And if you can get him along with DJ Moore, I think you'd be in good shape.
Actually, that's what I did. And I have him handcuffed. So when you're going to play him, you've got DJ. I have Rome Odunze as a flex depending on the game, and have him handcuffed so it spreads on both ways, and then you get something.
I like that.
Yeah.
My God, a little fantasy advice from Wanda here. But one of the weaknesses they said coming out of college for Daniels was lack of zip. Didn't know if he could throw outside the numbers or not. And will drop his eyes to scan for exits, but I don't think he's doing that anymore.
No.
So, but I do think they said below average push and placement on deep throws. Yeah, he still needs accuracy on his deep ball. But, for the Commanders, he's doing everything they ask of him. I think the Commanders are accenting his strengths.
Yep.
Not asking him to do too much. He's got Terry McLaurin, and he knows how to find Terry McLaurin.
Right.
But they're not asking him to do too much. And I think that's been a benefit in Jaden Daniels' development so far.
Yeah. And I think Cliff Kingsbury is still using a lot of the college type of plays to help him ease him into. So I think that's very helpful for him, at least for what they're trying to do there in Washington.
So do I, because I think they're giving him the opportunity to run when he feels it.
Right.
And that's a big advantage to his game. So, and running has become a part of quarterbacks' games anymore.
Yeah.
You don't have statues in the pocket. You've got to have a runner.
Yeah.
There's no more Rodgers, Roethlisberger, Stafford, Rivers, guys who just, if there was nobody open, it was dangerous because they weren't going to get out of trouble by scrambling. Russell Wilson's always been an exceptional scrambler, but yeah.
Right.
But now we got Drake May, who's getting his second start. One of the problems I think the Patriots had last week was no Ramondre Stevenson.
Right.
But Drake May is going to get his look. And tell you the truth, I was always wondering why it took so long for the Patriots, for Jared Mayo to finally get Drake May into a game. Because I think he's, you pick a quarterback third overall, for better or for worse, you got to start him. So, but you had a reason for why.
Yeah, I think New England felt like they were obligated to start Brissett. They told him he was going to be the starter, and it's the same typical jargon that you get. You get this veteran that you get in there, and then you go and you pick a young quarterback out of the draft, and you start following that typical coach speak or mantra, whatever you want to call it, of you got to let him sit, behind a veteran quarterback and so on. And realistically, we all know that Drake May was not going to sit behind Jacoby Brissett in a learning process. That was not going to happen. But I think they were waiting for him to get more acclimated in practice, to get a little bit more reps as they were practicing, when they felt that he was ready to put him out. And as they saw Brissett struggling to get them where they needed to be, it was like, okay, let's bring May in. He's ready to go. Let's just throw the kid out there and see what he can sling out there. And he's been throwing the ball deep. He had a nice deep throw in the last game, and trying to make things happen. But then he also had, I think, 3 interceptions, and that's just him trying to get the game to slow down. Once he gets more reps, that'll happen. But
actually, he only had 1 interception.
Oh, I thought he had 3. I don't know why. But he said in a recent interview when they were talking to him, because they're in London, I believe, they're playing in Jacksonville.
Right.
And he said in the interview that he'd been watching Williams and how Williams has been coming along and how he's seeing the defenses and how the game is slowing down for him. So he's learning from fellow rookies and seeing how they're coming along and taking those pieces. And I think that's absolutely fantastic for a young guy to see, hey, I'm not going to be my guy and do this. I want to learn to see how these guys are becoming successful. And if I can put that and bring that in my game, I can do the same thing at the team that I'm at. And I think that's what he plans on bringing for New England.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him play in London against Jacksonville.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Because I think Jacksonville is they are maybe one loss away from completely spiraling.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And personally, I think if New England wins that game tomorrow, Doug Peterson finds a pink slip on his desk when he gets back to Jacksonville. Yeah. I think Peterson gets fired and we talked about coaches with Robert Saleh getting fired. Basically, and I know he says he didn't, but basically on the instructions of Aaron Rodgers. Because look what the Jets did this week. They got Devontae Adams on the instructions of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, he has no control, whatever.
No control, whatever.
Yeah.
So we talked about coaches that are really on the hot seat after this, the start of this season.
Yeah.
And Doug Peterson was one of them. And I'm looking forward to see Drake May quarterback against Jacksonville. Jacksonville has, they're rough on defense. They're not, they don't have an elite defense that can bail out Trevor Lawrence. They're 30th in points per play, 30th points per drive, 29th in net passing yards per attempt on defense, and 30th in passer rating on defense. So this is a great game for Drake May.
Yeah.
Last week was tough. He was playing Houston. Houston's a tough defense. And he still completed 20 of 31 passes for 192 yards and 3 touchdowns. So, and granted, the touchdowns were later in the game when the game was, pretty much over. But, he was still productive as a quarterback in his first start.
Right.
And I'm looking forward to see him against this defense. I think he can really make hay against this defense.
Yeah.
And can move forward quite a bit in his development just by facing Jacksonville. And I think Trevor Lawrence is going to have to start all over again with somebody else. Because, for a first overall draft pick, and he just got a big contract. Again, quarterback drought. Lawrence was supposed to help stave off some of that quarterback drought, but didn't work.
Yeah, it'll be
not working.
I think it'll be interesting to see. I mean, because they're both good both teams have good running backs to see how they're going to play that, and if the running game stalls, it's going to try to be some type of shootout, and we'll see how that goes.
Well, the thing is, Ramondre Stevenson did not play last week, so that was a big handicap for me.
Right.
But we'll see how that happens. But yeah, I'm interested in seeing if May can develop in a way that Williams and Daniels have so far.
Yeah.
Because again, we've only had one Hall of Fame quarterback replace 6 that were taking the field in 2015, and that's why I say quarterback drought.
Yeah.
So if you're late to the show, there were 6 Hall of Fame caliber quarterbacks, 4 borderline Hall of Fame caliber quarterbacks in the NFL in 2015. And it's just not the case today. So let's That's why I'm really pinning my hopes on these top three.
Yeah.
To, and in 2 weeks, not this week, but next week, week 8, we're going to see Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels on the same field.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And again, that's kind of the thing I was talking about where you want, in 2015, you had quarterbacks dealing all the time. Right. At least one game a week. And we're getting a really big quarterback drama coming up. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Bo Nix, another first-round quarterback. I really didn't have much hope for him, at least as a rookie, because there were some negatives on him coming out of college as far as a tendency to short arm, his decision-making, panning his stats with behind the line of scrimmage throws. Pro Football Focus pointed that out before the draft about Bo Nix. But I don't think that's been the case. I think he's been overcoming some of that. So right now he's 8th among NFL passers in on-target throws. He has his last 5 games, he's only had 5 TDs to 5 interceptions for the year, but only 1 interception in his last 5 games. So somebody who's learning. And the Broncos are 4-3 with him at quarterback. And, is he becoming an NFL caliber quarterback? Is he going to be a guy we look to as one of the top quarterbacks in the league moving forward?
I think with Nix, he has potential. He was one of the quarterbacks during the draft process that was interviewed by every single team. Every team interviewed Bo Nix. So it was like any team would have taken him, but obviously there was some concern, as you brought up. He can make plays with his legs. We've seen that already. He can move out of the pocket. He has an arm, but he's got some horrible footwork, and that needs to be fixed. Obviously, several of his missed throws on Thursday night's games, you saw when he'd step into it and then turn his body, and his feet were not aligned with his shoulders, and the balls were underthrown or overthrown, and so he put himself in some precarious plays, a lot very similar to Fields, in the way that Fields would not read something, he'd run, and that's exactly what Bo Nix would do. He'd see something, and then run instead of waiting for the play to come to him. Big concern for his growth is who is the QB coach there in Denver. It's Davis Webb, who was drafted in 2017 and was a backup quarterback throughout the league. He's been in several teams that he played in. His last backup stint was in 2023. He has never been a quarterback coach. So he is now Bo Nix's quarterback coach. And there kind of has a little bit of a concern for me. There's only a 5-year difference between the two. I think Denver could have done better in getting a quarterback coach for him that's had several years, somebody in the college arena that could have come in and stepped in and helped Bo Nix develop, get his footwork straightened out, and then be able to take it the long way for Denver. Hopefully that'll happen, but I just don't see that as coming very quickly this year. So I think he's still going to struggle with interceptions and wanting to run instead of steady himself, because unless he does a 180 and get those feet set when he's going to step into his throws and so on, he's going to have a lot of overthrows and more interceptions as those overthrows, depending on the defenses that he
Yes.
plays against.
Well, and I agree with you as far as the quarterback's coach, but do remember his head coach is Sean Payton.
True. True.
And I think Sean
Yeah.
Payton knows how to work with quarterbacks. So I would expect Nick's fundamentals to improve.
Yeah.
Basically, he was not considered a starting talent coming out of college.
Right.
Sean Payton kind of made up his mind that Nick's was going to be his guy. And I don't think he had much choice considering who he has behind him. But,
Right.
With Stidham and I forget who else is behind him. But I think considering how he came out of college, he's doing good in his development so far. Yeah, there's a lot of things still to clean up. But the fact that I think he benefits from Denver's defense too, because that's just a monster defense. Vance Joseph has that defense playing like lights out. And
I also picked them on my defense for this week and just killed it. So yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll get there.
There you go.
But he has just, been terrific as Denver's defensive coordinator. And that defense is one of the best in the NFL. It's a playoff caliber defense.
Yep.
Now, can the quarterback develop enough skills to enhance that defense? That's what we're looking for out of Bo Nix. But I think it's been a good start. And, where I didn't think Nix might have the possibility of raising his game to being one of the quarterbacks we look forward to seeing every week, I think the possibility is there. So we'll see how it goes. Let's see. So we talked about Drake May. Let's talk about Spencer Rattler a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Spencer Rattler was a 5th round pick by the Saints. Was not expected to be a quarterback this season.
Yeah.
This was going to be a big developmental year for Rattler. And it's just, and I think we've seen in his 2 games kind of what his scouting report says. Struggles to consistently process efficient reads and opportunities. Eyes float to and stay with primary receiver, even against tight coverage. No drive on his deep ball or intermediate passes. Accuracy below average. So kind of like a guy who was going to be on a learning curve when he came out of college, and being a developmental guy, but a lot of scouts touted him as an outside chance at being a starter in the NFL. So what have you seen over the last couple of games with Spencer Rattler?
He needs to be more of a student of the game instead of trying to make the big plays. So trying to be a hot shot, but trying to make too much of the plays instead of taking the time to read what the defense gives him. He was all over the place on Thursday against the Broncos, trying to speed up the game when he needed to slow it down, and so that's why he made a lot of errors in the play. Couldn't move the ball. He's got an arm. He can't. He can throw, but he struggled to go through his progressions. You saw that he would be a one read player at this point and not following his progressions, and So he was not aware of the defense coming at him, and the Broncos defense was just all over him. For a young QB, he will eventually get there. He needs, like you said, it's very developmental. Needs the time to learn it. To learn it from Derek Carr, if Carr is helping him out, and trying to talk to him, and he needs to just like regurgitate all of that, get it and learn it and use it. Andrew Jonico is the QB coach, and he spent several years in Chicago. Last year, a few years back. I kind of need to say more on Jonico, but I don't know how well Rattler's going to take to some of it, but hopefully he will. Jonico's not that bad, so we'll just have to see how Rattler can follow through in the QB meetings, listen to the coach. I don't know how much input David Allen has with Rattler and helping him out there. I think he's got more concerns on where this team is going and his own job for that matter.
Definitely.
So, yeah, because it's just, and you can see the difference between the first two games where Derek Carr started and they were hot. As soon as Derek Carr went down, so did, and they put in Rattler, everything else just fell apart.
Yeah.
The run game, the receivers, and it's just been downhill the entire time.
Well, unfortunately, Rattler didn't have Olave or Raheed Shaheed last week, or last Thursday night, which is really rough because there aren't really any other targets on that Saints team. But you saw Hayner come in and have a lot of success, and I think a lot of people were asking, why wasn't he in the game?
Exactly.
Because it's obvious Rattler isn't ready yet.
Right.
But I think with that decision, having Rattler play, I'm wondering if Dennis Allen has coached the Saints out of a playoff position.
Yeah.
Because the Bucs and Falcons are, continuing to play hard football. They're playing winning football. Both are 4-2. Both face each other again in about 3 weeks or so.
Yeah.
And it's a little surprising that, you're in a division that you could still compete in.
Yeah.
But you don't have your best quarterback. Even if, Derek Carr can't play, you better have Travis Hayner out there. He was a draft pick last year, but at least he's got a year of experience with your team. And
if they want to win the next 3 games, depending on when Carr comes back, if they want to win, their next game's with the Chargers, and if they if they want to play, I think it's on the 27th, they play the Chargers. And if they want to win that game and Carr is not ready, they need to put Hayner in because the Chargers defense is just going to eat Rattler. Oh,
yeah, absolutely. Without a doubt. And so then, the Saints play the Chargers, the Panthers, and the Falcons.
Right.
Falcons are coming up on their schedule. And the Falcons already have a win against the Saints. So Falcons already are a game up on them. They have the tiebreaker. So it's a rough run for the Saints. And I think the coaching decision by throwing Rattler, you threw him to the dogs, basically.
Yeah.
Against Tampa Bay, which is not a good team to make your first start against. And then against, last week, where against Denver, who also has a top defense. You've thrown them out there against 2 top defenses and he has no experience at all. He's basically, freelancing out there almost.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, to me, the Saints are coaching themselves, and which is why I think Dennis Allen, this is his last year in New Orleans. I think he's coached himself out of a playoff spot.
Yeah.
Because Atlanta, the Falcons, and the Buccaneers are not going to slow down.
Nope.
They're not going to wait for you.
Yep.
All right. This isn't the NFC East, where you got the Eagles, kind of stumbling a little bit. Dallas having problems. If they don't straighten things out quick, this division is going to get away from them.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to be Dennis Allen's fault.
Yeah.
So.
Agreed.
Just the way it is. Anyway, great look at the rookie quarterbacks that have come into the league this season. Unfortunately, J.J. McCarthy, we don't have any data on, and we're going to have to wait a year to see what he's about. But I think Sam Darnold has done everything possible to get the Vikings. Well, they're 5-0,
right?
And they're at the top of the NFC North. By the way, NFC North, every team is above 500.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Every team. Eat
Crazy.
that, NFL.
But I see.
Trash talk. Eat it. Come on. Come at us.
I see JJ. I don't see any real concern with JJ under O'Connell's offense. I think he's going to do fine. I really do.
Well, and that's the thing. I think Darnold has thrived under McConnell's offense.
Yeah.
So, but and then Michael Penix. Well, we'll see. He's learning how to engineer 2-minute warnings.
Yep.
And comeback drives, and how you don't lose your head late in the game, even though you're behind.
Yep.
Penix hopefully is learning poise and learning how to handle a 2-minute drive just by watching Kirk Cousins do it. And Cousins has the Falcons in first place in the NFC South. Right. So we'll see how that goes. Nostradamus predicts last week, I went 3-0 on the picks that I gave on the show, and I had another pick that I added to my post on WordPress football.az.com, where I also added the Bucks -3.5 against the Saints. It took the Falcons as my best bet, playing the Panthers. They were favored by 6, and they just took care of it.
Yep.
So, and mentioned that Kirk Cousins was 52-14-2 against sub-500 teams. So it was kind of a big game for me. Took the Bears -1 versus Jaguars in London. I think everybody was taking the Jaguars because of their experience playing in London. But the Bears, Caleb Williams had a big game.
Yep.
The offense was there. The defense was there. Jaguars got buried. And the Bengals, prime time, boy, that one had me biting my fingernails for a while. Bengals against the Giants. The Giants suck royally in prime time, but the Bengals almost let them play themselves into the game.
Exactly.
Just frustrating. But for this week, week 7, I'm taking Miami +3 in London. They're not in London, but I'm taking Miami +3 against Indianapolis.
There you go.
Tyler Huntley has spent some more time with the team now. Skylar Thompson's actually practicing. So might be a better quarterback situation in Miami. So Hill and Waddle might actually get a chance to contribute to the offense this week. Ishan is off his concussion. He's had a full practice. And Jordan Poyer is going to be back at safety. So I like that.
Yep.
And Indianapolis is going to be starting Anthony Richardson, one of the draft picks from 2023 who plays hurt, has no accuracy, but you're going to play Joe Flacco the rest of the year. You got to figure out if Anthony Richardson has anything to give you.
Right.
I just don't think he does. Got me excited, like week 2 in the season when he was hitting a couple of deep throws, hit some long passes. I thought maybe this guy can really take the wheels, just start chucking it and make for an exciting offense, but hasn't been the case. He wants to run too much, and he's going to get hurt again.
Yep.
So take Miami +3 at Indianapolis. Take the Patriots in London +6 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Ramondre Stevenson is back. Drake May has had a little time to get himself acclimated to being on the field and throwing passes against an NFL defense, a very good NFL defense, not facing near as good an NFL defense this week. Jaguars are struggling, and I don't think they can get out of their own way right now. So I would take Jacksonville in that game +6. And Rams -7 at the Raiders. Tough game. Rams are still running with a lot of injuries. However, Matthew Stafford's security blanket, Cooper Kupp, will be back this week and playing.
There you go.
So when you got your security blanket, that does a lot for a quarterback.
Yeah.
Especially for a quarterback, Matthew Stafford. Plus, professional bettors of the Sharps are hitting the Rams hard on that -7. And the way I've always looked at it, if you can position yourself with the professional bettor, you ride with the professional bettor. And if they're hitting the Rams hard, take the Rams -7 because the pros say take the Rams -7. Wanda, 2 weeks ago, you were 2-3. So
yes.
you had a definitely a better week. So what do you have for your picks this week, week 7?
It's going to be harder. It's a harder week.
Yes.
I've got Houston and Green Bay, so I've got Houston actually winning this by 3.
Wow.
I think it's going to be 27-24. I think it's going to be a back and forth game in throwing the ball. I know that Houston is out. Nico Collins is out. But Tank Dell can take over. They've got a Bijan. Not Bijan. I'm sorry. I'm forgetting who their running back is in Houston. But yes, thank you. And he's back. He'll be able to do what he needs to do against Green Bay, even though Green Bay's defense at times has let the run go through. Depends on which defense shows up with Green Bay, because sometimes they'll be tough. But Jordan Love, he's got his playmakers. Aaron Jones, though, is not Aaron Jones. I always think Aaron Jones.
I know.
Blanking here.
Josh Jacobs is his.
Thank you, Josh Jacobs. I think he's out again. I thought he was out, but you have the run game, and you can't really run against Houston that much. So we're going to see how that game goes. I think it's going to be pretty close. My next one is Detroit and Minnesota. That's going to be another tough game.
I'm looking forward to that game.
I want to see that. That's going to be, hopefully it's going to be a nice back and forth. But my concern is you've got two very good defenses, and with the defenses comes a lot of low scoring games. So I don't know if it's going to go high or low. It's going to be who turns up. But here's my thing. I think the Lions, that's who I picked by 7. They've got their little trick plays that they're doing with now
Yes.
Droughf, Amma St. Brown, and Montgomery. And so they're doing these little things that goes back. It throws off the defense, and I think they're going to use that a couple of times. So as much as Minnesota's going to try to stop that, I think the Lions are going to take it by 7. So I'm picking 31-24.
But I heard Dan Campbell be asked about those trick plays, and have the Lions emptied the bag of their trick plays? If they showed them to everybody, and Campbell says, "No, we got a lot more." So,
I would not be surprised. I think they've got a lot more, and they're determined to win it. They had to come up with some really good creative plays, and they have, and it's worked. So I'm sticking with the Lions.
Is got a tough defense in Minnesota.
Yeah.
But
I think there's always going to be holes in somewhere. So, and then
by the
Jets,
way, Detroit and Minnesota are 1-2 in my power rankings this week.
There you go.
That shows you what this game is going to be.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be the most watched all week. To be honest, I think it's to see if who's going to win it, who's going to take it, if Detroit now goes in the lead and Minnesota gets their first loss. So I think that's going to be interesting here.
By the way, Packers at 5 and Bears at 6 on my power rankings.
Here you go. All right. Not too far apart there. They're getting there. Again, it's that NFC North. That
NFC North. So come crazy. At me, trash talk. I want to hear you guys trash talk. Come on.
Okay. Finally, we got the Jets and the Steelers. It's now the Steelers again. Tomlin not giving out whether it's going to be Fields or Russell Wilson yet.
I got
Pitts
word for you. Pickens let slip that it's going to be Russell Wilson.
Yeah. Pickens came out and he said that was the deal.
Right.
So yeah, it's probably going to be Russell Wilson and even Justin Fields, who came out and stated, that he's not playing, or he hasn't been playing well enough to be that starter. So, I mean, it's already been said. I don't know what the deal is with Tomlin, and not just saying straight up, it's Russell Wilson. That's who's starting.
He's not fooling anybody.
He isn't. It's not. Come on now. But you've got now Davante Adams over with the Jets, giving him a little bit more of a play. They showed a couple of throws in practice as if Adams has been playing with the Jets all season. So it's going to be that development. But the question is, you still have the same offensive line for the Jets, who have not been that kind to Rodgers. So unless they've changed overnight, he's still going to have some issues in that front line in protection for him. And against Pittsburgh's defense, that's going to be scrambling for Rodgers. He's going to get the ball out, but everyone knows at this case here, Steelers know the ball's going to go to Davante Adams. We're going to do the same thing. So if they take out Adams, it's the same thing, same game he's been playing all season. He's going to have the same targets, and all you have to do is take out Adams. And so the Steelers are going to be thinking that I'm still going to take the Jets just because they've got a little bit more firepower in Davante Adams. And if they work that out, we'll see how that happens. I'm taking it as a close game of by 7, 21 to 20. Sorry, by 1. I'm sorry, it should be by 1, 21-20 is what I'm saying. So it's the Jets by 1, 21-20.
Yeah, they're favored by 1.5 points in that game. So
Okay. Yeah.
You've got them running right along the spread in that game. Brian, so sorry I missed the show.
Ryan.
Brian, no problem. Great to have you here. Always, you're a friend of the show. We love you. Brian also says, yeah, Iwanda can Devontae Adams block.
No.
I don't think he's ever been required to. His job is to get open for Aaron Rodgers and not mind if Aaron Rodgers throws him under the bus every now and then, like he did Mike Williams last week, which I thought was despicable.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Brian, you're always tops with us, and we love having you here.
Absolutely.
But that's about all the time we have for this show. As I always say, it's been great to have you, have the people who watch the show live spending your Saturday with us, spending an hour out of your Saturday with us. It's very appreciated.
Yep.
And for all of you who catch the show on, repeat during the week, we do appreciate you taking time to listen to the show. We do appreciate our fans very much. So for that, Brian, go Falcons. I think the Falcons win this week. So
they do.
Yeah, I think they beat Seattle this week. So
yep,
all with you. But with Wanda Weidman, it's Tom Pollen, and looking forward to talking to you next week. Everybody have a great week.